Okay, so you're with Hoosier Tire. You're at a racetrack, like you always are, and the tire might have some issues. And you're doing what you do. You're Irish Saunders. You're quality control. You're trying to take care. Like Rich Vogler. What do we got to do to fix this?
Right.
And you come up against a man last year that assaults you, gets physical with you, knocks you down. This makes worldwide news. And not long later, you said, look, I've had enough. Tell me about this man assaulting you over the Hoosier tires.
Well, it was in October, and I'd went to IRP. I hadn't been to a Silver Crown race. And Kenny, I've been traveling all over the country this year trying to fix problems, whether it be with the Cars Tour, with ASA, with the Modifieds, with whatever it might be. So I'm traveling all over, right?
Right.
So I go to IRP, and of course, I start walking through the pits, and they all start complaining about, the product, on dirt and the product on asphalt. My tires shrink and they grow. And
right to your face? Right to your face?
Oh, yeah. They're all right to my face. They're all complaining, right? As I walk down pit road, I make my rounds. I just go from one all there, and they're all complaining. Something I've heard all year long, right? So the races are over. A couple guys come to me and say, I would have won this race, but my right rear shrunk a quarter of an inch. And the one guy said, if you fell the quarter of an inch, you should not be doing this. You should be Formula One racing, because if you got that kind of a feel and you can't handle it, And so I leave the pits, I drive out of the pits, and I said, I need to talk to Seymour's about midget tires. So I drive around, and you know how the tunnel is going underneath the tunnel there in turn 4.
Yeah, you walk.
Yep, I walk through the tunnel. I get to the top of the tunnel, and here's this guy, big guy, probably 6'4", 6'5", probably 260 pounds, got a beard, wearing a Brady Bacon T-shirt. He looks at me and he says, hey, you're pretty brave wearing that Hoosier shirt in this pit. You know that? I'm like, hey, I said, I'm working on some stuff, And he goes into the price of these tires are this, and they're just garbage and all this other stuff. And he points to me and he says, and you, my friend, are single-handedly ruining racing. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not ruining your racing. He goes, well, maybe it's not you, but it's your effing company. And he shoves me on the ground and takes off underneath the tunnel. And people went to try to find him. They never could find him. Don't know who he was. And at that point in time, I called my wife. I said, this is it. And she goes, it's probably time. She goes, 36 years of being together. She says, and this, all we hear all night long is complaints. It might be time. I called Tony. Tony's like, we need you, but you don't need that. Harvick, the same way, So I reached out to a lot of my friends to ask him, and I just got to the point where I went to the president and told him, and he just said, well, I'm sorry. And I said, well, okay, I'm done. And I'm done from Hoosier, not from racing.